a queen on the kingdom scene. Never underestimate her. Her ears haven't heard and eyes haven't seen what the Lord is whipping up for her. She's a boss, female boss, boss. She got dreams, she got goals, she trusts the future, she's the one who knows it. She's got a bag, she's getting paper. Never underestimate her. She's a boss, female boss, female boss.
Well, welcome to the broadcast, you guys. Female boss. Listen, this is all about CEOs, people who are doing it, people who are in corporate America who want to help the body because they also are operating in dual identities, I guess I would say. So I wanted to come and teach this because so many of you are corporate women and you don't know how to navigate those multiple roles or those multiple hats. And so I wanted to start bringing some friends to you to help you navigate in what I call a female boss lunch and learn. And so I think this is going to be really good because we have to know how to be both in both worlds. We have to know how to be dualistic and even sometimes operate in these different spaces so that we can dominate every place that we go. And so I'm excited for this conversation. I wanted to introduce you guys to a woman that I have recently become more acquainted with. Her name is Cheryl Whitehead. Welcome to the broadcast. How are you?
Hello, Dr. Alexis. I am doing well and super excited about being with you and your community for this edition of Lunch and Learn. Super excited about our time.
Me too. Thank you so much. Listen, I have been seeing your work for years, actually, and then your husband introduced you to me, and it has been a very fruitful and great relationship. I love your presentation; it's just stellar, and I've texted you this before, and so I'm excited to get to know you more, but also for the audience to get to know you. Can you give us like a background on who you are and what you do?
Absolutely, I'd love to. My name is Cheryl S. Whitehead, and I am currently employed with the Fortune Global 500 organization. That is my day job, and I am a U.S. Director of Facilitation, so I lead the facilitation team where we are responsible for role-based and specialized training. We are also part of the team that is rolling out any type of organizational transformation. And so for my current role, I've been there for this year makes 15 years, cannot believe it. And I started on the retail side. I currently sit, of course, in learning and development and HR. And it has been an incredible career. That is my day job. I started in the banking industry in 2024, and that was actually in the credit union community. And I have been in this space for this long time, and it really has been a joy. That is my day job. I also have the distinct pleasure, along with my husband, having have founded Destiny Global, which is a church and movement. And so we are kingdom believers. He and I have the opportunity to do both ministry and marketplace together. And we also have the opportunity to create businesses as well. And so if I had to sum up who I am a solutionist, a people developer, and a futurist. One of the spaces that I'm interested in and passionate is about is making sure that people are ready for the future. So all of that exists in the space. And I am probably like a lot of women that are online listening today, where you are not just one thing. And I want you to know that this is the press into your full identity. And I'm excited about this conversation.
I love that. And so you would be considered the multi hyphenate woman. When I say that word, what do you think about it? Multi hyphenate.
Yeah, I think of the various parts of a woman connecting to purpose, right? I think one of the things that we have a tendency to do in this space is to think that it's just passion. But a lot of times, what's sitting behind that passion is purpose. And so, God will awaken a
Yeah.
passion on the inside of us to point to a place of purpose. And so, I think that we're starting to see this more. I think in previous years, what we've seen were a lot of women being told that they had to be one thing or only exist in one role, and that is in corporate America. Right. And in the church. However, I believe that this is a period of time where we are coming into what I like to call dual dominion, where the
Mm,
true space that women are supposed to occupy, that Genesis 1 identity, where he created
mm,
them, male and female, that God is blowing on that. And he's not just blowing on that in the corporate space, that is also in the church, right? And so we
yeah.
have an opportunity to be all, do all, and be co rulers so that the earth can get to her maximum place.
Yeah, and I think, this is a word that I fought for years, in the apostolic woman. I fought it,
Mhm.
because I remember early on men telling me, "Ain't no woman gonna be preaching over me," and just trying to put it
Yeah.
like it's more than preaching, right? It's your identity. I'm actually an
Yes.
apostolic woman, but I
Yes.
used to fight it years ago. And then you start doing research and you're finding out, even today, I was reading the word and just looking at, Junia, looking at these different ones who are emerging,
Yes.
and who, even there are some hidden names that have recently come to the
Yes.
forefront. One being the lady eclectica, and just different ones. When it started, said the lady elect, but really they found that it was a
Yes.
name recently, and so there's many hidden women who were Priscilla, who were ruling and who were doing
Yes.
great work. And so, even I think that it gives us grace to say, I can rule too. I can be like Deborah, when she said, "When village life ceased, I, Deborah, arose," right? Because I had
Yes.
to. But also because it's okay to be a judge. It's okay to be apostolic woman. And when I say
Yes.
apostolic woman, can you help me with that language, please? Because you may have like a better grasp of it to help share that, or just a different way of explaining it to help share with the community.
Yeah, sure. I'll tag on with you, right? When we talked or use the term apostolic, and this is a space that I'm actually very drawn to. It's not the denomination; it is the DNA of the New Testament church. It's the sent dimension of the believers. And so, when
Mm,
we talk about the sent woman or the apostolic woman, it's not just the office, but it's the nature of one moving in purpose at the behest of the King. And so I'm moving in
yeah.
my assignment. I'm going to do what he called me to do, because I have that relationship and I am stepping into that rulership so that the kingdom can come and that his will can be done on earth as it is in heaven. So, not denomination, it's the sent DNA or the environment and the mission of the ecclesia. Yeah.
Yeah, and a pioneering spirit. It's this
Yes.
ability to, it is an ability. I feel like I was born with it, but it was awakened
Yes.
in me by another apostolic leader. And I do think that that's important because
Yes.
it stirs you up. And so that's the work you guys are doing. You are clearly an apostolic woman. You operate dually in this Fortune 500 entity, as well as an apostle in your local church. And so, at work, what does that look like? Because I find that some women, they don't know how to
Great question.
navigate both worlds. They don't know how to. They think
Yeah.
that means they have to be laying hands and prophesying on everybody at the job. It's like, no,
Yeah.
we ain't on it. Like,
No.
not that
Yeah.
it may happen. It may happen, but
Yeah.
it's not really that. Can you speak to that for me?
Mhm. I absolutely can. I think one of the most beautiful things about a relationship with Holy Spirit is that he brings us into truth, that he leads and guides us. And the dynamic encounter at Pentecost was not just the tongues of fire, but it was the language that allowed people to connect. And part of what happens in that corporate space as an apostolic woman is that you are graced to be able to see which then gives you the ability to connect and create strategy, and then have language for the systems that you are partnering with. And I think that that is one of the key indicators, or key points of success that I have found and also seen in other apostolic women, is that you get language for your industry. And so you may not be
Mm,
sitting a table praying in the spirit, but you'll have the answer and you'll have insight. And if you allow yourself to be trained by your environment and submit it to your Lord, you become the answer in that moment. And so I think it's
wow.
part of that, as a dynamic. And then also showing up to be an answer, right? And I'll pause there so we can have some dialogue.
Oh, that's good. Showing up to be an answer, having the language,
Mhm.
being able to navigate these relationships, even knowing when to do
Mhm.
something and how to do it. You have to be led by the spirit. Knowing who to open a door for, knowing who not to open the door for. I mean, all those things are
Yeah.
prophetic and apostolic. And so I
Yeah.
love that. I've never thought about that. Language for having language for the industry that God has called you to. It's interesting for the work I'm doing in the government now. The
Mhm.
reason why it's like things are simplified. But I also used to do events for like churches, church
Mhm.
communities, my own events. And so now those same great ideas I had, I just started to have them for
Yes, say
government.
that. Yeah, say that. Say that. I love that. One of the things that I think specifically in this time, during a previous conversation, we were talking about this a bit, but in this specific space, a lot of women, specifically African American women, have been displaced. And the question is, how do I then take all of this experience, not just in
Mhm.
corporate America, that can be in the kingdom as well, and then translate it to, number one, market myself, and then number two, translate it into a new industry. And so I think that one of the things that's important in this space is to take inventory, right? To
Mm.
understand that what you do, whether it's in the kingdom or in another industry, create a list. Take a list, sit down, use the tools, right? We're in the world of AI. Plug that list into Chat GPT and then ask the question, where do these skills fit in X, Y, and Z industry? Right? Because I think sometimes it's just about being aware of that, and then also having the courage to apply. I'm sure you're aware of the statistic, but when women are looking at new opportunities, if they do not have all of the qualifications that are listed, they will more than likely not apply. But if a man just has two of the qualifications that they're looking for, they're going to apply. And so a lot of times we don't even put ourselves back in the game, or put ourselves in a place where people can invite us into new spaces, just because of that mindset and not taking the next step or moving into the next evolution of ourselves. And so I think that this is a great space to be able to identify who we are, what we've accomplished, because we don't take inventory a lot. And then in this space, have the courage to apply, understand how to bring language to those transferable skills, and get in the room for the interview, because more than likely you will be invited for a second interview. Yeah.
So I mean, in a way, you have background in HR. Would you say that what are some of the hiccups that you find when people do not get invited? Because a lot of people are saying they may not, right now they're struggling to get an interview.
Yeah. So this world right now is very interesting because a lot of the organizations, they are running resumes through AI before they even get to the recruiter. And so
Mhm.
you have to make sure that you have the necessary keywords in your resume that are aligned with the job description in order to make the algorithm pull you out of the crowd. And
Okay.
so, making sure that you are, again, translating your experiences to what the job description has, so that you can get to a person. Because a lot of the challenge right now is that the algorithm with AI is not get it's not allowing all of the candidates to get through. And then also old school sourcing, get online, figure out who's the hiring manager, send an email that way as well. Yeah.
Okay, so okay. So LinkedIn?
Yes, definitely LinkedIn. Yeah. Good old
Okay.
Google. Right. All of
And
the things, right?
I was watching something on TikTok and it said that more CEOs answered than you think. Like people were saying they
Absolutely.
emailed CEOs and CEOs were like responsive. I was shocked, you know.
Yes.
Now I did do something, and sure you could tell me if this was right or wrong. But I was trying to get somebody's information, and it
Uh-huh.
wasn't listed. And so what I did was I asked ChatGPT to do the first and last name, or like what would their email be, because I knew the names of the people, but their email is not listed. And
Yeah.
it told me, and I sent it, and it sent. Oh my
I love
gosh,
all of it.
I was
Yes, no, I
happy.
think that is brave. I absolutely love it. And that is such a great way to show the just how we are made up as women. And I love that you just shared that story. We get it done. Now, what happens is that a lot of times we'll get it done for someone else, but we won't do the same thing for ourselves. And I believe this is a time where the same investment, the same effort that we put into other people, we need to turn that inward. And so we can serve ourselves in this season like we've been serving others in the past.
We need to bet on ourselves. We need to bet on
Yes, yes,
ourselves.
yes,
And that looks like doing it anyway. You know, as I've
yeah.
been, you know, kind of raising monies to do some of the events I've done, I found out that
Mhm.
some of these people are getting sponsored and they're doing events with 10 people, you know, 10 people,
Yeah.
15 people. But here we are. I got to have 100. I got to have 200. I got to have 500,
Yeah.
where some of these sponsors are saying, we just want you to show up and show capacity and how many people. I'd rather
Yes.
invest in 15 people than 1500, because I can't figure out who actually had takeaways, right? And I can't, or I
Yes.
can't measure it.
Measurable
And
outcomes. Yes.
yes, so I think that we have to give ourselves some grace and launch it anyway. You know, even if it
Yes.
looks like you're only going to have 5 people or 10 people, get the data on that, see what the outcome
Yes.
was, publish a paper, publish you know, a blog or something about it, and then, you
Yes.
know, look back on it. But there is success in the 5 the same way that there's success in the
Yeah.
500. And I was watching a guy today and he said,
Mhm.
Vic Mensa, he said, you know, he had done like a meditation event or something like that, how to meditate or something. And he was saying that there was like 15 people there. Now this man gets millions online of views online. And he said, you know, he
Yeah.
realized, I cannot measure who I am based on social media's response, because this is who I truly
Yeah.
am. And this is the core of who I am. So if I'm trying to do an event just because I want social media to come versus me really saying this is my
Yes.
identity, right? And I thought,
Mhm.
I could connect with that, because right now there are so many people doing things and you can
Yeah.
fear your work falling on deaf ears, you know? But we have to have courage and launch it anyway.
Yes, yes, yes. And listen, what I have found over the years is that there is always a people connected to purpose. And
Woo!
eventually, what will happen is that you will find your people, and more than likely, that actually comes as you're finding your voice. And so, here's a principle from corporate America to kind of tie into that. We are in an agile world, right? Where we have to be flexible and we have to iterate. And a lot of times, we will have a tendency to look down, like you said, on those smaller cohorts or events, but that really is the time for you to, number one, just get out your MVP, your minimal viable product. Practice what it is that you have in your heart, practice your vision, build up your voice, build up your systems, because we know this in the kingdom that when you're faithful over a few things, you get invited into the space of plenty and many. And so a
Yes.
lot of times we'll dismiss ourselves or that principle in corporate America because of the pressure of social media, right? Everybody is showing the highlight reel. but no one shows that journey. And I think if we as women, Dr. Alexis, if we're more transparent and telling our stories and our journey, and let me say this, as I've been getting to know you, that's one of the things that I absolutely love about you and your signature. You are transparent. You are telling the story. You are sharing your triumphs. You're sharing what was happening on the inside of you as you were taking the sleep, right? And I think that's part of the reason why women are going to continue to flock to your voice and engage with your platform. Because when we can tell the truth on the journey of transformation, we can help more people transform.
Ooh, ooh, that was good. When we can tell the truth on our journey to transformation, we can help more people transform. That was
Yeah.
powerful. Okay, you guys, take some notes. Please take some notes. The girl is dropping gems up in here. I actually, so people are, they were saying, what do I do now? And I, when in
Mhm.
this transition time in corporate America, whether they may be, transitioning out of one position or they're just trying to figure out how to make more money. Right. I talked to a woman who
Mhm.
is, she may be a SVP. I don't know. She's something up, and she was working at Ulta too. I was shocked, like like, what are you
Yeah.
doing? Why are you working? She said, well, my daughter is in, college, and I have to make a couple of extra dollars. And anyway, I was just like, what in the world? Like, what are you doing? But I think that people
Yeah.
do what they have to do at this moment. And I think
Yes.
that shows the multifacetedness of her, because here
Mhm.
she is, like this brilliant woman in banking, and then at the same time, she has this creative side where she likes just customer service and
Yes.
customer care. But I was teaching in New York this past weekend, and I
Uh-huh.
came up with something called the farm method. So do
Okay.
what is in bloom now. Do what is in bloom now. This is where people often miss God trying to plant what he's asking them to harvest. And so, key principle,
Yes.
God often funds what's already fruitful. And so I got this from this guy who said that his mom and dad raised him on a farm. And he said that he would
Mhm.
go and he would go and service what was in bloom at that time, and that's how he would move, right? So maybe the
Yes.
apples are in bloom, or maybe or I don't even know if bloom is the right word, but maybe they are
In
what's
season. Yeah.
in season, and then the oranges are in season, and then so you're going to different ones, and when that's in season. And so I came up with this part: to farm. F is to find what's growing naturally, what's already working, where are people already responding. A is to
Yes.
assess the fruit, what produces results with the least resistance. R is to resource it. Your time, your funding, your partnerships and systems. And M is to multiply, to scale what's proven before
Yes.
starting something new. And so I think
Yes.
that when I look back, even this right here, female boss was something that I came up with 4 years ago, but I got
Mhm.
scared. And so I took it back and I said, I didn't want to do it. So today I was
Mhm.
thinking, when I asked you last week, what can I do to speak to corporate
Yeah.
women? I was like, oh, I have something for them. It's called Female Boss, right? And so I think that
Yes.
we just have to go with what is being fruitful right now, and then let something
Yes.
wait until it's the season to bloom.
Yes, 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 yes. And my language, and number one, let me pause there to identify and celebrate your brilliance. I absolutely love that acronym, and I did write it down, and I will give you credit when I reference it. Okay. Listen, I love it. In my church world, I would say that every season serves us, right? In the corporate America space, it is the not everything grows at the same pace. So, right in line with what you said, right? And so it's about having the internal fortitude and the
Yeah,
discipline to pay attention to the seasons and to
yeah.
remember that nothing is wasted in the kingdom. Like it cannot be wasted.
Woo!
It cannot be. And I think that's a big call out for corporate America, Dr. Alexis, because what happens when you're dealing with a multi hyphenate is that corporate America can start to feel like a prison, and we function trying to escape it instead of allowing it to train us and sustain us as we are building options, right? I think if we can detach ourselves from escapism and realize that this is about building options, we live a better
Mhm.
life in corporate America without being cranky and mad at everybody and not giving
Yeah.
our best selves in that space, while the
Wow.
season is changing, while the harvest is changing. So yeah, I love
Wow.
that. I
That
love
is
that.
phenomenal. And I think that it speaks to a woman allowing herself to grow where she is or bloom
Yes.
where she's
Yes.
planted.
Where she's
Because we are
planted.
now
Yes.
in the generation that nobody stays at their job for, I don't know, maybe like you're a
I do
anomaly,
know.
or is it a you're like, we don't see you anymore. Your type of personality, like, girl, are you okay?
Yeah,
But
no,
but
people outside.
people be like, girl, because I was tired of this. I was tired of this job, and I gave them a good year, and I was gone.
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah,
okay, but we do have to think about responsibilities. And another thing is we're aging. We're
yeah,
aging. I am 3 years old, about to be 44. Like, we have to
mhm,
lock in, you know, whatever that
yes,
means,
yeah,
whatever that means. If it means me becoming an official consultant now, saying, when I
mhm,
ran away from corporate America, but now I'm training people in corporate America. So it's like, Alexis,
yes,
you have to name it and say, I'm an official consultant. That means I have deadlines. That means I
yeah,
have proposals. That means I have to get up at 8 o'clock in the morning. That means that I got to stop, saying, I don't do that. I don't do Excel. I don't do this. I don't, it's like all the things that I said I don't do. Now I need to do them because
yeah,
things are working in this way, and you have to grow up.
yeah,
We have to
yeah,
grow
yeah,
up.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
many of us, we haven't stepped into that grow up phase until our 40s, because of the
yes, so true.
generational theory, how
Mhm,
we were raised, the things we endured, etc.
yeah,
So a lot of times we just want to be grown kids. But the reality
yeah,
is we are women, and we have to grow up, and we have to be able to step into these roles with power and not
yeah,
drop the ball, because a lot of times black and brown women have it a little harder statistically, based on data.
yeah,
That's just
every
how it
time.
is. That's
Every
just how it
time.
is.
Yeah, absolutely. Every time. I love that the challenge is to stay the course. And that has actually been some of my secret sauce to my career.
Wow.
There are moments in corporate America where it was very, very hard, where I had the right to do something else. And I would have to, number one, swallow my pride at times. I needed to learn a new skill. I needed
Mm,
to learn how to manage up, right? A lot of times we exit because of a leadership crisis in corporate America instead of learning how to learn the people that you are reporting to. Let me back up. I'll say it this way. And I used to, when I used to visit new hire classes, I used to use this language, being able to manage your 360-degree sphere of influence. So the people you report to, your peers, as well as the people you're responsible for and or your customers. If you can leverage relational equity and emotional intelligence and learn how to work those relationships even when they are challenging, right? If you can do that, you can outlive the challenge, you can outlive the personality issue. And the reality is that sometimes when that exit happens, it's your opportunity. And so, yeah,
wow. That
you have to be
is
able to endure.
wow. That is, yeah, that is so good. It's phenomenal. And I want to help women to back on, if we connect this to spiritual, a lot of times women just
Mhm,
immediately go to, I'm being attacked, it's demonic, this is what's happening to me. And I'm not saying
mm,
that there's not wickedness in high places, but I think that
yeah,
they've become addicted to that language because they do not know how to manage offense and how to,
yeah,
there's a book called The Bait of Satan, and I think we've become so
John
offendable, like,
Bevere,
as far
yeah,
as like, I'm offended. And then the Bible says bitterness is a root, and bitterness has caused it to be
mhm,
skewed in what has happened, right? I realize that when
yeah,
people get angry and they just leave, and you've probably learned this from the church world, they don't necessarily always have the language to have those conversations. And so emotional intelligence, and it's something
Yes.
listen, I don't like having hard conversations. I just like to just like it's been times I had to let somebody go, and I'd rather just pay them than tell them I'm gonna let you go. Like I
See your
hate it.
heart. Yeah.
And so, but we have to have hard conversations because they cause us to grow.
Yes.
And farm and grow are connected, right? I mean, we have to be able to
Yes.
grow. And
Yes.
and so as you were speaking, I just was thinking about that, like manage up. I think that's what you said. Manage
Yes.
up. That's what
Mhm.
you said. Yeah. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Manage
mm,
up. Mhm.
is that looking to your higher manager to train you
Yeah.
or
Yeah, so in my perspective and the way that I launched that thought is a lot of times when there's a crisis in corporate America, when someone is doing their job, it is a lot of issues with leadership. You commonly hear that, right? They don't get me, this, that, and the other. But if you are in a space where you have successful communication skills or you're learning them, right, to your point, emotional intelligence, and it is a skill, which means that it can be developed, right? You learn your boss, their strengths, their weaknesses, and then you find your opportunity. Now, will this work all the time? No, but I believe it works your professional muscle so that you can learn and continue to grow that dynamic with the next person, right? And so, what that looks like when you're managing up is identifying the strengths of your leader, their weaknesses, and then becoming the value exchange that's necessary to change that
Mhm.
relationship. I can tell you, I've had to do that several and not a let me kind of make sure I'm using wisdom in this. I have not had to do that as consistent in this job, but early on when I was in corporate America and moving through that space, and I had a stretch of years where every 2 years I was being promoted or given additional responsibility, and it was even working with hard people. And this was my secret sauce. Okay, people can tell me that this person is X, Y, and Z, but I took the opportunity to learn them, discover what makes them tick, because maybe they are not hot headed. Maybe something's going on at home. Maybe they show up this way because there's insecurity, or maybe they show up this way because X, Y, and Z is important to them. But when you can diagnose the person, you can leverage that information to your advantage and find the value that translates to that person. And the hard case becomes the person's hand that helps you up. And so, if we can look at it that way and look at it differently, then we don't have to escape, but we navigate our career and we actually have one because now I have a story, I have a history, I'm building some corporate equity in this space, and you eventually cash that in.
Wow, I love that, and I'm like gonna watch something on emotional intelligence when I get off of here. I'm gonna, I mean, I like you're
Listen,
so
yeah,
like it's so good, and I think anything leadership now or anything development, I
yes.
want to become a better communicator, and I think those communications
Hmm.
matter even with my husband, even just as I'm brought into certain rooms, and I think sometimes even when you're afraid, thinking
Yes.
you don't have the right language or the right words, I would call you a master communicator. And I think that, we learn from listening to one another. I also I'm
Yes.
good at speaking, doing presentations, all this stuff, but I think that we always should again grow and inspire to know how to
Yes.
speak to people, know how to if I text you, I might sometimes I'll just be finishing the conversation, Cheryl, for real. I'll be like, that I'll pick up and you'll be like, good morning. And I'm like, girl, good morning. I'm sorry. So I think that we have to teach people how to talk to us. No, for real. We
It's
got to teach
true. It is true.
people. And so, I do that sometimes. I just finish my conversation from the day prior or the week prior. I'm like, I was
And it's
in my
okay.
mind.
It's okay. We still here. It's okay. It's okay.
We
But
hear it.
listen, what I know, yeah, we're here, we're good. But this is the value of communication. So, Dr. Alexis, if you and I are in an exchange, I am listening for the clues to tell me your communication style. So I know instantly that you are a high D in the disc profile, right? And so therefore, when I'm talking to you and I'm having conversation with you, I understand that I need to give you specific information so that you have what you need in order to do what you need to do, right? And so
What are you?
I'm not offended by that. I am a high D, high I. I am a weirdo on the disc spectrum. Normally it's not like that, but yeah, I'm a high D, high I.
And what's your husband?
So ironically, he right now is a high D and an S at the time, at this current moment. Yeah.
I'm
But
about to
listen,
retake that test. I'm about to retake that test. Now my husband is coming. Yeah, so my coach, because your husband has been coaching my husband. Yeah, so and because of it, he told me you'll really understand how to handle me based on this disc profile. And I'm excited because you and your husband are gonna do our prophetic challenge. And
yes.
so you're gonna talk about the disc profile and couples and
Hmm.
marriage and relationships because it does matter. Can you explain to the
It
audience what a
does.
disc
Yeah.
is? Because I took it 12 years ago.
Yeah. Oh, I would love to see what your current profile is because it can change over time. So, DISC is a behavioral style assessment that is broken down into four quadrants. And in order to take the assessment, you're given instructions to answer a series of questions. And as you're taking the assessment, sometimes the questions look repetitive, but it's really looking for your pattern. And what we've found is that each person has a natural and an adaptive style of communication. And the communication style gives us indicators for how you show up and how you like to be engaged. And so there's four quadrants. It's the D, which is the drive communication style, the I, which is the influencer, the S, which is support, and the C, which is compliance. So high D are going to be fast paced, and direct communicators. And so, Dr. Alexis, one thing that I have learned over the years is that because that is who I am, every time I communicate, you're going to get some type of pleasantry before I get into what I have to say, which is why you
Okay,
see my
a
text
pleasantry.
messages anchored. It's
Okay, a
anchored
pleasantry.
because, yes, 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 because that
Okay.
style, you're moving fast, you're getting to the point, and sometimes people can feel like you're running them over if you don't slow down. And I found that early on in my career that people were like, and I'm like, what? I'm just trying to, right? And so now I have tasks and things that I do to make sure that I am well received and can get to my outcome, right? The influencer is all
Okay.
about yeah, it's all about vision, inspiring, reaching, achieving. The S is the support person or the steadiness. They are the ones that make the team work. And then you have compliance, all about the data, all about the numbers, and they need time. They're slower paced in order to get to where they need to be. Yes,
Yes,
so that's the framework.
I would actually like you and I asked your husband can he come train our group, but I would love for you both actually to come down or you maybe do it online to train our team
Yeah,
because I think
we can
what
do
it
that.
is that all of us need to take the
Mhm.
disc, right?
Yeah.
Because the whole team, I mean, there was a time that my friend, she works for me and
Uh-huh.
she started crying, when I was talking to her. And I said, "Why are you crying?" Because
What's
and
happening? Right?
what it was because I and she won't mind me telling this.
Yeah.
I asked her to do something like I can move on the fly of it like 2 seconds I can get it done. So I put together events in like 1 week or 2 days. I
Yeah.
love that type of stuff. But for her, she needed it was just something for the kids to do like some type of presentation and to like vision boards. And I'm like, "Girl, just go
Yeah.
to the store and get something. Like what's the problem?" And she said because I don't want to I was like, I just drove off like, "Are you for real crying?" Like, "Girl, but I want to be a better leader, right? This is your
Yeah.
friend. My two best friends work for me. My other best friend is
Oh, I
in
love that.
management. hospital management for 20
Mhm.
years. She runs my org. And then my other best
Incredible.
friend, she helps to run the some of the programs. And so it's kind of
Love that.
like learning to navigate with best friends and also having the
Yeah,
it's just like, because this is something else for corporate women. We still have to keep boundaries in relationship when we're in
me
corporate. We
too.
have to, it doesn't mean like, hey, girlfriend, we're girls. But when it's serious about work, we got to get this work done, right? So my best friend is
Yes, yeah,
compliance. She's compliance. I'm not. I'm
yes,
big vision,
yeah,
but she saved us a many a day on keeping grants.
yes,
Many a day.
yes,
So,
yes. Yes, and that's the beauty of the team, right? And you want all and listen, this is one of the and when we talk, because you mentioned leadership, this is one of the keys to successful leadership is making sure that you surround yourself with people who are different so that
oh,
you can create that synergy so that we can
yeah,
accomplish what we're looking to accomplish with skill and success. Because
yeah,
the challenge is that you just want to bring everybody on that's just like you, and then nobody tells you no or helps you think the next thought, right? And so, if you can staff yourself with a diverse group of people with diverse personality styles, communication styles, working styles, and if you as a leader can harness that strength, right? You
yeah.
can it's nothing that you cannot accomplish. Yeah.
Wow, you are like just an amazing speaker, breath of fresh air, great with
Oh, you're
leadership.
so
Do you
kind.
have
I
somewhere
enjoyed our
that
time.
people can find this information? I don't know if you offer the like one-on-ones or because I recommend you guys meet with this woman if she has capacity. I don't know if she has
You're
groups,
so kind.
you're taking groups through or what, but I mean, in the church community, we don't find a lot of people who are well skilled in their trade and also in the kingdom. It's like that duality. So they just be making up
That's
stuff sometimes. Like making up stuff. Like you cannot make up stuff. There's like HIPAA when it comes to telling people's business.
yeah.
Like all those things, right? It's like you
Yeah.
can't tell people's business. Like what happened to HIPAA? But they don't know because they haven't been trained. So where do
Yeah.
people find your link or something to have sessions with you?
Sure, sure, sure. So my website is www.cheryl.whitehead.org. There is a work with me portion there where you can fill out your information and my admin will reach back out. I am actually doing a conference because we talked about this, Apostolic Women, March 21st of this year. It's going to be in Richmond, Virginia, called the Apostolic Woman Assembly Emergence. And the theme is socialized to the dimension, where we're moving through all things apostolic for the woman. And so that conference is coming up. And at that conference, I'll be announcing some formal mentorship. It'll be group mentorship just because of my schedule. But that is coming as we are closing out Q1. And so I'm looking
Is that
forward
correct?
to, yes, that's right, CherylSWhitehead.org. That is correct. Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, sure. And so you will be taking
Thank
on
you,
group.
Dr. Alexis.
No, no problem. I
Mhm.
absolutely. I'm listening. I'm like, I know you have books online. I know you have like,
I
and
do,
I've
yeah.
never even listened at length to your work. I have not, but just
Mm,
sitting here right now, I'm feeling, it's the feeling I feel when I am being like stimulated, um, mentally, right? Where I feel like, okay, this is what's needed. You've talked about emotional intelligence, leadership. You talked about growing where you are, not just leaving, managing up,
yeah,
just so many different things we've talked about today. How you can be you don't have to be one thing.
yeah.
And the last question I want to ask you about is promotion,
Mhm,
because you did
mhm,
say that you have been graced to be promoted. There are
yeah.
women who say that they've been in the same position, they keep getting passed up for promotion. What would be your answer to them right now, because they want to leave their job because they're not getting promoted?
Yeah, so the first thing I would say is that find the value exchange, and find a way to add value at all times. And then the second piece of that is stretch assignments. You can partner on a project that puts you in a new room with new people, that even if a person is saying no, when you get the exposure, that opens up an opportunity for new avenues of promotion. The other thing that I would say is to, back in the day, moving up in corporate America was a ladder. And right now, it's not a ladder, it's a jungle gym. And so a lot of times people won't take a promotion unless it's a significant dollar increase, but pay attention to the opportunities that may be lateral but build skill or get you into a new area where there's additional opportunity. And so those are the three things that I'll say. Number one, always find a way to find value. Number two, making sure that you are asking for stretch assignments that get you in the room, getting new exposure, learning new things. And to make a third thing, making sure that you pay attention to how you get promoted. It may not be a dollar increase, but it may be something lateral that gets you a new skill that unlocks the next opportunity. And so I would say just be creative, because this is a new world and promotion looks different than what it looked a couple of years ago in corporate America. That would be my
Yeah.
advice.
And I also would think to create programs that you want to see in your church or in your
Mhm.
community. For instance,
Yeah.
AI, the digital, redlining, there's so much going on with the digital inequities and all of those things. I think that,
Yeah.
we're just now barely getting broadband to some communities, some projects, but now here is
Yeah.
AI, right? So, like 4 years ago, 3 years ago, as soon as I learned AI, I hosted a course. There was 400 people in it. As soon
I
I
love
learned it in
that.
a day, I had a course 4 days later. I mean, I was like, I got to tell the people
Yeah.
about this, right?
Yeah.
And so I
Yeah.
think that because I've always wanted to help build capacity and make sure that we're not left behind. So maybe it would be
Yes.
creating these opportunities in your community and in your churches that you can, that you can use on your resume.
Build your resume. Yes.
Yeah, which
Yeah,
can,
build your resume
open you up
out.
to so many, other things.
Yeah, I'll say this, and here's a testimony tied to the advice that you just gave. So I was working for a financial institution in the retail side, and at that time we were going through major transformation, and we were attending training after training to kind of prepare us for this transformation. And so I was sitting in class, and I am the one. I'm going to be positive. I'm going to figure it out, and I'm going to help other people figure it out. And so I was showing up in training consistently that way. And the person who was in charge of training was like, I just like the way you show up. Tell me about yourself. And so I started talking about, number one, I'm a believer. So I talked through some of that. And in that conversation, I talked about how I had taught Bible study and trained spiritual gifts and all of that kind of stuff, just casual conversation. And that was the conversation that led to my invitation to move out of the retail network to come into L&D, which opened the path for where I am now, because I had a history in the church that translated into corporate America. And so, to
Wow.
your point, create it, put it on your resume, because it may be the very thing that opens the next door. So, yes and amen to that.
That is so awesome. If you could think of some lasting words to say to a woman who's feeling discouraged right now, a woman who feels
Mhm.
like they don't have capacity, even looking at some of the words that the women put, because I put something on my page that said, corporate women, what are
Yes.
some things you need help with? I'm planning a talk tomorrow. They talked about, a lot of people talked about funding, but probably because the work that I do with funding, but
Yeah.
resumes, positioning to prepare. So resumes, positioning to prepare for my exit off the corporate hamster wheel, skill assessment and how to apply skill sets, which you did speak to some of that. How to
Mhm.
establish business, transitioning to corporate to an entrepreneur, from corporate presenting. One woman said, as a corporate apostolic woman, I need translation support, speak in outcomes, not process, autonomy, plus everything else listed. It's how to steward my time between corporate and career, which I do enjoy, my business and nonprofit. There's just so many things they put on here, and
Mhm.
balance, investing, retirement, all those things. But I guess if you could come with a conglomerate of, I guess, with everything I just
Yeah.
said, what would it be? What words, paragraphs would you leave the women with?
Mhm. I think it would be this statement, don't be afraid to reimagine.
Mm,
And that is wherever you are, understanding that number one, for those people who are working through identity, can I do this? What does that look like? Being able to reimagine themselves in a new
mm,
place, a new position, getting to the next place, right?
mm.
For those who are trying to figure out the next move, or what to do next. I think if we can take ourselves out of the pain and the pressure of the moment and allow Holy Spirit to saturate our mind and to spend time in that place of reimagining, what can be, and allowing ourselves to research and then positioning ourselves to take our next step, the possibilities of tomorrow begin to open up. And here's the thing with this space in corporate America and with moving into the next space is that you may not feel the impact of the small adjustments that you are making today. But when you look up in 2 years, you are living a different life because of how you have repositioned yourself, how you've allowed yourself to think the next thought, how you've allowed yourself to take a risk. And the progress today will be the life of beauty tomorrow that you are living in. You will testify that the Lord is good and He's gracious, and what He does for you today, turn and pay it forward to someone else. Yeah,
Wow. Thank you so
that would
much.
be my
Thank you
thoughts.
so
Yeah.
much for that. I really appreciate you coming on
Oh,
today.
thank you
I
for
think that
having
the women
me.
are going to be inspired, encouraged, and activated
I praise God.
to be better leaders. And I'm looking forward to having you on again and potentially bringing you here
Yes, we
for
have to
one of our
do that.
conferences because I feel so much great
Be
synergy
honored to.
with your work. So thank
Yes.
you. I appreciate you.
Thank
And you
you. Thank you for allowing me to join.
You're welcome. You guys make sure you hit her up, Cheryl S. Whitehead.org. I will make sure I put the information at the bottom when we do the edit and everything. And it's going to be important that you get in touch with her and her team. I think that she is one of the women that you've been looking for your next. So thank you so much again, Cheryl. And I'll be back, you
Thank you,
guys.
Dr. Alexis.
You're welcome. I'll be back with Female Boss Lunch and Learn next time. Bye now.